Alright, we're going to be going through this vape Q Ultra and why it's no bueno. So first off, we've got the pod system, and you'll notice I've got this nifty little tape in there, and it's kind of shiny. It's wet with e-liquid. So is the bottom of this coil. So the way this coil works, you see there's a little hole there. There's also holes on the side of the coil. And you'll see there's a little chamber that leads to that. So when you take a breath, there's holes on the side here. I've got them taped up because of some of the flaws in this whole system. It goes in these little side holes, and there's a hollow space in here. You can kind of see it, but it's where this tube goes. So the air goes down into this hollow space, through this tube, through here, through the vent holes in the coil, up and then into your mouth or lungs. The reason why that's pointless and doesn't work is, as you can see, there's no gaskets, and this doesn't seal completely. So you can see there's clearly a large gap, and that lets air and light and everything flow through there. So I'm gonna remove this. So even under that tape, you can see all the e-liquid that seeped under there. And the reason I'm doing this, and the reason I'm giving up this device today, well, risking it not working again and taking it apart to see and show people, as you can see there's liquid at the bottom, and when I picked this up there was a nice ring around it. So e-liquid's going all the way from the top, and you can even see it on the sides there when I squeeze it coming out, all the way down, probably past the battery, into the battery, who knows. But what I want to see is if it's safe. Is all that stuff sealed and it's just passing some type of chamber? So we're gonna find out. Unfortunately, I don't have all of my tools with me, so I'm gonna try to be as gentle as possible. It's definitely like press fit because this alloy is all one piece. So I'm trying to figure out which part went on first. Alright, so there's part of it. Looks like we've got the contacts. Now, wait, I'm curious. I've got some of these. These are the old pods. But I wonder if I could make them, because they're offset. You see how they offset the pins? It detects at 1 ohm. Maybe I'll try and modify this somehow to work with these pods. I'll see how I can get them to fit in. Because if I could do that, this thing would be way better. Because the current pods are no good. I think the battery was soldered in after this was all put together. such a better hit. Alright, here's the final device after my modifications. It's a little ugly, I'll clean it up. I was waiting for the epoxy to harden. But you can see it's not perfect. It reads 1 ohm. And I'll take it apart and show you how I did it. Alright, so here's the Lost Vape Q Ultra, Lost Vape Quest. The pods that came with it were garbage, they leaked, they didn't seal right. The pods from the original Lost Vape Quest are much better. They're a complete sealed unit, and they have a replaceable coil on the bottom. And let me show you what that looks like. Here's the coil. They pop out. They're 1 ohm coils, but immediately I found the flavor was much better. The airflow ring is tighter and works better. Everything about them is better. I don't know why they swapped it up. So what I did is, as you saw at the end of my last video, I bent and moved the pins around so that they lined up in the side-by-side configuration that these pods use. I got some double bubble epoxy, which is really nice because it's very quick to cure. About 5 minutes of like playtime before it starts to harden. I sealed the connectors from each other. I used a piece of tape to do that and hold them in place, and then epoxied all around it. Then I took the original piece that holds the right distance and I sanded that down flat as I could. That way it would hold the pins in the right place, and you can see they stick out just enough. It's not perfect. I may add a bead of solder or something on top to kind of level them off. That way the pod seals better. That's something I got to do. I built up the back here so that the pod sits flush. Ideally, I'd like to add a piece here so that the pod, as you can see, it's not quite the full length. I took the little hook that originally clipped into the pod, can't see it on this one, on the side, hooks in there and holds it down, and I added that to give me like a height that lines up with the top of this. I currently have tape to get it to fit snug. It's kind of a little bit of a hack, but it works really well. Ideally, I'd be able to get this a little tighter, but the epoxy, which actually now hardened up pretty well. Before it was soft. I'd add a little dab of epoxy or something in there to make it a little bit of a tighter fit, and maybe a thin layer on the sides as well. That way I don't need that tape. But yeah, I mean, I've been using it for a couple days now, and once I get it in there, I might need to tighten it down a little bit, but I'll show you, see if I can do this with one hand. So you can see right now, check atomizer. What we'll see is probably still check atomizer, but I give it a little, because it's in there pretty tight, a little push. There we go. And it doesn't really, it's pretty sturdy once it's in there and lined up. It doesn't come undone too much. As long as I don't mess with it, it's pretty good. But that's why I want to add that little bit of solder to give it a little more thickness on the pin. And I'll sand down the epoxy. Could probably get painted or something. Maybe some body filler or something if I really cared, but for now I can use these because I accidentally bought a bunch of these pods thinking they were the right ones, and they were not. So, but for now, other than I say that every day it's been fine, except when I'm trying to film, but I might have to adjust the tape at the top, but it works pretty good. I'm happy with it. Now I have the good pods with the good mod and no leaking liquid anymore. It's dirty, but it works.